think regardless of, being captain or not, winning games of cricket, especially for England, is always special. Just looking back on the way that the game sort of just ebbed and flowed, we didn't take control, New Zealand didn't take control. Maybe they did at one point when Mitchell and Blundell were playing. But, it just, I don't know what it is about Lords, England, New Zealand. There's just always drama, always very good games. And we're very, even sides, especially in these English conditions. But yeah, obviously finishing off, with a 60 to win, 5 wickets down, it sounds like we should cruise to victory, but the way this wicket's played and the conditions that always seem to be in the bowler's favour, it was just. But the way that Joe and Ben went out and played this morning, almost, just put the nail in the coffin straight away. And then even going back to last night, Rooty taking on the responsibility of being the busier player, and Folksy dealing with that pressure of going in and playing for the last 45 minutes, set us up this morning. Joe walks off obviously there with all the plaudits, but I think Folksy as well has got to take a lot of credit with the way that he handled that pressure yesterday, and the way that he played this morning as well. They just fed off each other. So both of them have played a huge role in securing a victory for England.
You pride yourself in winning, and winning was all that I could think about. It's been a long time for this team. It's felt like that. So it meant a huge amount to get over the line. Obviously, it was very special to get to 100 and to reach 10,000 runs. I'm not going to pretend that that's not the case, but nothing replicates winning games of cricket and winning test matches. It's such a good feeling at the end there, and one that hopefully now we can gain a lot of confidence from and we can replicate throughout the rest of the summer.
Harmy, that was Ben Stokes and Joe Root speaking in the post-match media conference. Ben Stokes' first match as the England captain, one test win in 17 going into this match. What differences did you notice about England in this test match in terms of their approach, and what impressed you the most?
Well, having been on the field very first morning.
Well done, by the way. I should say, I watched the clip of you and Matt Potts. You were absolutely... I've never seen you look so smart and fresh, by the way. You don't dress like that when you come into the TalkSport studios, do you?
No, I don't, but I lost my tie. I'm going to tell that one. So, I'm smartly dressed. Natalie Sawyer and Ali McCoist on breakfast, giving me some stick because I'm smartly dressed. Had me jacket, got me tie on my inside jacket, ready to go to Lords, 611 on the inside of my tie, my player badge, my England players tie. And I left TalkSport, put my jacket in the car, gone to Lords, and I can't find my tie.
Oh.
Somebody's handed it in. Yeah, a really good man who was staying at London Bridge Hotel has handed it in to TalkSport. So you'll have to make sure you keep an eye out for that. Okay. So I had my tie ready to go. And then I've got to Lords, new managing director, my best mate, Rob Key. I thought, well, he'll have a tie for me. I got there and, Keezy as usual was a tramp and he didn't have a tie either. So I was desperate to go on the field and give Matt Potts his tie, his cap in an England tie, because of showing respect of what the cap meant. And then I got on the field and Owen Morgan, the England one-day captain, who I'd seen earlier in the morning, who hadn't seen me, had a suit and tie on, looked very smart. Nasser Hussain walks over, no tie on. Morgan's got his tie off. So I thought, well, it's a no tie day. So I was over the moon that I didn't
you got away with it, Harmer. You got away with it.
But it was relaxed. It was relaxed on that front, but it was relaxed in the huddle, round the huddle as well. Spoke to the likes of Joe and Stuart Broad. Obviously Ben as well thanked me for coming on the field, and Brendan to say a few words and give a young man a great experience of making the debut, especially at the home of cricket. And the message from the new coach was very relaxed, and it was about individuals fulfilling their own skills and finding a way. I think that was the big thing that Brendan said before the game that I took from that. He mentioned find a way. Do you know what? England have found a way to win this game. It wasn't fluid. It wasn't sort of comfortable. They worked hard, got in a position on a couple of occasions, and have found a way to win. And that is the biggest trait you can have. You can talk to anybody in the TalkSport building from that's played sport at the highest level. And the biggest thing they'll say, if anybody in a characteristic of a top player finds a way to win when things aren't going well for them. And that's what England have done here. And that is the best thing that they could have, because for 17 or 18 games, they've they've found it tough.
Found ways to lose matches, haven't they?
Yeah, exactly.
I think the key word you used there, Harmy, is relaxed. In the build-up to this match, I've been at Lord's, been speaking to some of the players. McCullum only had 3 days, didn't he, with the boys? He can't change, too much with the players' techniques and stuff like that. But they all use the word relaxed. The environment seems to have changed, doesn't it, Harmy? Again, he can't have changed the players' batting or anything in 3 days, but that's the word, relax. And everyone just seems happy. There feels like a real genuine positive vibe around Lords at the moment. Everyone seems to be really behind Brendan McCullum, and there's just a real vibe.
Yeah, and it's hard to put into words what these kids have gone through in the last 2 years. It really is a sample size of it in the Caribbean, but nothing much. We were let out. We were relaxed, and we were let out to go. Some of the stories that the boys were telling me about how the world was in Australia, how it was in Sri Lanka and India. Look, and I said it for 2 years. It was like zoo animals being, let out to entertain and to be fed. And the stories were telling me, yeah, I was right. They were like caged animals. You're not going to perform. You're not going to perform to the best of your ability, and it's going to be tough. And I think what you've seen over the course of little glimpses in the West Indies, I thought England got a bit better. And what you've seen over the course of this last 7 days is that England have been, very relaxed because everything's opening up again. You can get away from cricket if you wanted to. They played golf twice before the first day of the first test at the Grove and at Stoke Park. And when you can do that, you can create an environment. And when you can create an environment, you can create a togetherness. And when you've got a togetherness, when things aren't going so well, you can come together for each other. And that's what happened over the course of the last 3.5 days. That's what happened. And, they found a way of getting themselves in a position to win the game. Because a couple of times they were out of the game. And that's what will happen. That's not Brendan McCullum. That's life. What Brendan McCullum is going to do is what he's done to this New Zealand side. To get them to the best team in the world, New Zealand were a fine unit, a team that were together. Yes, they were relaxed. Yes, they're different. They were multi-skilled and they were going. But there were times in this game where New Zealand kept coming back. And that was the environment that Brendan McCullum had set from captaincy into this team who were evolving into what won the World Test Championship. And over the course of the next 12, 18, 24 months, that's what Brendan McCullum will give this side. He'll give them a relaxed atmosphere, he'll create an environment, and he'll give them belief to fulfill their own skills. And at the end of the day, if they don't fulfill their own skills in that environment, well, they're not good enough to play cricket in international games.
As if the Lord's crowd, Harmy, this afternoon couldn't love Joe Root anymore. Secured the victory quick enough that the 4th day ticket holders are going to receive a full refund as well. So England win, Joe Root scores 100, and the England fans today are paying 0p.
Yeah, and that's brilliant. And I bet you, I wouldn't say he knew that. Don't
tell me that off the back of his mind, though.
No. I bet he wouldn't have known that. Sorry, I bet he would have seen that this morning. He would have seen that this morning put out there, but it wouldn't have entered his mind until possibly 5-10 runs to go, knowing that we've won. And I'll be interested to see if somebody asks him that question. Did you know? Did you know that? Because I bet he did. I bet he did at the end. That he knew
we were scoring quickly this morning. It might have been because the new ball was coming, but maybe he wants to give the fans a refund.
He knew the new ball was coming, and he knew the new ball was the game. If even we're 15, 20 runs to win, the new ball comes and he gets out first up with that new ball. This is still game on. So, it's been a great day for England. It's been a great Test match for England. It's been a celebration of greatness, because let's remember what Joe Root gave the England and Wales Cricket Board as captain, fine ambassador, an excellent leader, more wins than any other Test captain, 1,700 runs in a year where we didn't look like we're in a match. In the first game without captaincy at the home of cricket, he wins a game for his team. That for me is greatness.
And Harmy, just before we wrap up, got to mention the bowlers. It was, I mean, incredibly, England did this thing where they picked their best bowlers to play in the match, which was a bizarre tactic, but it worked, didn't it? Anderson and Broad, so good to see them back. In particular, Anderson on day one was great. Broad changed the game, didn't he? Third innings with those 2 wickets in the over, also the run out as well. But I imagine that one of your standout moments was seeing young Matt Potts make his debut, take 7 wickets in the match and look really good.
Yeah, was it 7 for 68 in the match? He bowled fantastic. He bowled brilliantly. I thought he handled the occasion very, very well. Very proud Northeasterner who works hard. And he did. He looked as though he fit in nicely. Celebrations were not over the top. They were. I just thought he had a really, really good 3.5 days. And it'd be interesting to see if they play him at Trent Bridge, because sometimes when you have a week like Matt has, and then you're looking at 3 back-to-back test matches, sometimes you might have to look after the mindset and not your overkill. So that he will be, but I would imagine Matt, strong lad, Matthew is a strong lad, strong mind, will want to get out there, and I chuck him back out there again. And if there's any sort of times of fatigue, any sort of slowing down, then you look after him at Headingley. But with adversity with the bowling unit and how many people have been out, come whoever England pick, if you bowl with Broad and Anderson, you've got a chance to succeed, because you're coming into the game with total control. Every time, I've said this to Joe Root before the West Indies, before the very first test on the field in St. Lucia. In Antigua. And I said, the biggest problem you're going to have is every time you go on the field when you've got Broad and Anderson, for an hour they give you control. And then you're in control of the second hour. And in the winter, we didn't have that. With Overton and Wilkes, didn't have that. Now we've got it back. Broad and Anderson gear control. You might not get wickets, but the ball goes nowhere. Pressure's on the batsman for the second hour. And if you've got wicket takers in your team with Potts and Parkinson, then you can, as a captain, you can dictate to what happens in the next hour, hour and 15, hour and 20 if you play a long session. And that's what Broad and Anderson give. And that's what they did. And I thought the whole bowling unit bowled brilliantly. But, and there is a but here, when it comes to selection for the next test match, I don't think England can play 4 number 10s in every test match this summer and expect to win each series. Because I think the batting frailties are still there. And they might need somebody to bat at number 8 who is a competent batsman. And whether England go into the next test match at Trent Bridge without the spinner, and go in with 4 out-and-out seamers and Ben bowl if he has to, and might have to look at Craig Overton play instead of the spinner. I wouldn't do that. I would like to see Parkinson play. That means a Broad's vulnerable, but the way Broad and Anderson bowled, definitely not. And I ain't going into Trent Bridge without Stuart Broad. So if you do want to play Overton, you probably have to play 4 out-and-out seamers and Ben bowls if he has to.